What is a carb? You have like a textbook definition or your favorite definition?
I wouldn't say that I have like a textbook definition. At least not from any textbook that I've read. But we talked about it's a unit of energy essentially, right?
Yep.
Carbohydrate essentially, what it is at its most simplest form, which we'll get to, is a sugar essentially. So all carbs are just forms of sugar, and both those terms, carbs and sugar, both get a bad rap or they get attached to things. And we all know about attachment. That's as soon as you get sucked into something that's only attached to one thing, then
you're fucked.
Then you're screwed because you just lost your awareness. And we know that's really important, right, guys?
Genius.
Right.
Yeah, carbs for me, the Latin root word of carbo is energy and hydrate is water. So it's water energy, right? Every gram of carbs you eat, you hold 1.2 grams of water intercellularly with liver and muscle glycogen stores, okay? So carbs don't make you fat, only a caloric surplus. Eating too much makes you fat. The Bridge Podcast, back at you. I'm Sean Nixon.
John Matthew here.
We are back with the nutrition series. We've already introed you. We've already done the macronutrients, and then we're breaking down each one. You've already seen the protein episode that you've sent to all your friends and family. Now we're breaking down carbs, the dreaded...
Breaking down carbs. Ooh, look at that.
Look at that. I'm breaking down carbs right now.
Yeah, we all are.
I just had rice cakes and blueberries, 2 different types of carbs. So many different types of carbs.
Carbs are in a lot of places.
Carbs are all over the place.
We both have
they
to
sneak
remind,
up
right?
on you.
They do. So,
hidden carbs, trace carbs, fibrous carbs,
whoa, complex
carbs, simple carbs, like Simple Jack.
Simple
simple sugars, fructose. My fruit's making me fat.
high fructose corn syrup. What the heck?
Well, see, that's a little different now. So we're going to break it all down. We like to set the confusion first and then pull you back in. What is a carb? You have like a textbook definition or your favorite definition?
I wouldn't say that I have like a textbook definition. At least not from any textbook that I've read. But we talked about it's a unit of energy essentially, right?
Yep.
Carbohydrate essentially, what it is at its most simplest form, which we'll get to, is a sugar essentially. So all carbs are just forms of sugar, and both those terms, carbs and sugar, both get a bad rap or they get attached to things. And we all know about attachment. That's as soon as you get sucked into something that's only attached to one thing, then
you're fucked.
Then you're screwed because you just lost your awareness. And we know that's really important, right, guys?
Genius.
Right.
Yeah, carbs for me, the Latin root word of carbo is energy and hydrate is water. So it's water energy, right? Every gram of carbs you eat, you hold 1.2 grams of water intercellularly with liver and muscle glycogen stores, okay? So carbs don't make you fat, only a caloric surplus. Eating too much makes you fat. Carbs can be delicious. Carbs are a tool, basically.
Yes.
They're not essential, but they're important. You know, there's essential fatty acids, there's essential amino acids, so healthy fats and proteins are essential. But if you're an Eskimo and you ain't got no fruit and you ain't got no potatoes, you can survive off of fat. But if you're an athlete, or just any type of performance goals, you're going to need some carbs to fuel your brain and your workout and your hormones and your stuff.
Carbs are good for that kind of stuff.
Carbs are good.
Yeah, like what you said, really, in the macro episode and the protein episode, proteins, generally in the breakdown of a diet aren't going to be manipulated too much. They're usually going to be at a static, depending on your goal, and even then they're pretty close.
Unless we get super fancy with like a carb cycling.
Yeah,
and refeeds and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, carbs can be fluctuated up, down, all around, any which way you want.
They can be manipulated.
But yeah, types of carbs. So we know carb is essentially all sugars that provide us energy. And like what kind of energy, I guess is a good question, what kind of energy do they provide, right? In terms of, we didn't talk about energy systems yet,
Right.
but that's really relevant to this.
Yeah, so you like your glycolytical energy is going to be higher repetitions and longer distance. Once again, that you couldn't run a marathon on keto or bodybuild on keto or
Yeah.
something, but higher repetitions. Lower repetitions for just strength is going to be more ATP, creatine, phosphate, and a nervous system just exploding versus an actual pump or higher reps or longer
Yeah,
distance.
so for people doing like a typical bodybuilding workout or trying to build muscle or sports performance, anything where you're using kind of fast explosive stuff but maybe not maximal strength stuff,
Yeah.
you're going to be using some sort of glycogen. So glycogen is essentially stored carbohydrates in your muscles, right? And
I like it. But I like how you said, like, Coca-Cola is sugar. White table sugar is sugar. Pineapple is sugar. Blueberries
bread
are
is
sugar.
sugar.
Bread is sugar. Sweet
Potato.
potato is sugar.
yeah, but they're all different, right?
But they're all different and they're all the same. So it's like 100 grams of sugar, table sugar, like white granular
Yeah.
sugar, and 100 grams of sweet potato have the same amount of calories. And they're basically going to do the same thing long term for your body. But short term, the insulin spike is going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
And the satiety. So like the 100 grams of sugar, granular table sugar, whatever the fuck, same amount of calories as the 100 grams of sweet potato, but it has no micronutrients. It's not going to get you any fiber. It's going to go right into your system and right out of your system. So there's going to be no satiety. You're going to be hungry after, and you're going to be left just eating fucking junk. Whereas the sweet potato is going to have vitamins, minerals, and fiber that's going to slow down that digestion, and those complex carbs are going to get broken down slowly, keeping you fuller for longer and giving you more nutrients in the long run.
Yeah, you just gave like a lot of great info right there.
Yeah, sum that up. You always
Well, no, let's go into talking about like digestion of carbs because we have, and what causes, you said slows down digestion, what speeds up digestion of carbs.
Oh, I love that.
So, and I think it comes down to insulin. So.
Yeah, simple sugars by themselves are going to, spike insulin and digest the quickest,
Yeah.
right? Then, I don't want to go in order, but fiber is going to slow it down.
Yeah.
Combining with a protein is going to slow it down. And the biggest thing that slows it down is combining it with a fat. So if you have some fiber, some protein, and some fat, steak, white rice, and a sweet potato.
Yeah.
Now you have all three micronutrients, a faster carb, a slower carb, and some fats and some protein in there, so that you're getting the quicker digestion to refuel glycogen after a workout, but it's also going to be sustainable energy.
Yeah.
So you're not crashing. That's what would be like an insulin spike. What goes up must come down,
Yeah.
and that's going to give you brain fog and the old afternoon crash.
So then, so in relation to like we're talking about insulin. So anabolic means growth, essentially growth. Catabolic because the opposite means breaking down. So two of the main hormones, one you probably have heard of is cortisol, which is the main stress hormone, which when you're in that state where cortisol is released in the body, when you're anxious, nervous, stressed out, that's breaking down muscle tissue, it's breaking down things in your body.
So once again, cortisol is not bad.
No, it's necessary.
It's necessary. Sustained cortisol is bad. So
Yes.
you were just about to say insulin is the antagonist of cortisol.
Exactly.
That's why we got to get fired up for a workout and crush shit and then eat carbs after. If you're not running carbs, you don't eat carbs after, and we'll go over what you can do with ketosis and fat and stuff. But eating carbs after to switch off that cortisol into now
Turns
going
on
from
insulin.
catabolic to anabolic.
Yeah. Pancreas releases insulin. Insulin causes your absorption of carbs from the blood into the body, the muscle. So I mean, when we think about carbs for like when you go back to complex carbs and breaking that down, when would you want a fast spike? When would you want a slow spike? You'd want an insulin spike post-workout.
The most important, I was going to say the most important thing is going to be total calories.
Yeah.
But then when we get into timing, you would want a faster digesting carb, like I said, like a white rice, or that's where you can get away with a lot of sugar because after workout, specifically resistance training, you have a higher insulin sensitivity, meaning less carbs are going to give you the proper amount of insulin in layman's terms and not spike too high and spill over into brain fog and potential fat gain and stuff like that. So the quicker the better because your body can utilize it after workout. But then, once again, I don't want to demonize carbs before bed, but that might be a better time for complex carbs and not eating junk, just so it's a slower digestion overnight.
Which is a lot of time when people do have junk is late at night. Right?
That's the thing, because I don't want to say don't eat past 9 o'clock or some arbitrary stupid number, because that's not true at all, because only total calories matter. But sugar for the sake of sugar at night with no healthy fats and no protein and nowhere near a workout and near sleep may not be the best idea either.
Just like you said, like cortisol, staying in a prolonged state of cortisol is bad for your body.
Same thing with insulin.
Same thing with insulin. That's
great
diabetes.
That's
right
literally what type 2 diabetes is.
Which is, a pretty, I forget the numbers now. 30 to 40%
scary
of the
numbers.
country has diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
And then it's like 60-something when you go pre-diabetic.
Pre-diabetic. So that's a completely manageable thing.
Just about to say
both
that. That's on you,
we both got
motherfucker.
clients off of
And myself.
Diabetes.
Listen, type 1 diabetes is super rare and it's super tough, and you can live with it, and you're going to be on insulin, and you're going to work with your doctor, and you have it from birth, right? And it's a small percentage of the population, and you're working with your doctor, and you know how to handle your life. Type 2 diabetes is you eating too much fucking junk and not resistance training and having a shitty lifestyle. That is not a death sentence, it is not a life sentence, and you do not need any pills from any fucking doctors. You need a proper strength training routine, a lifestyle change, and a better diet. Let's just say a better nutrition.
Yeah, more complete, more whole, more structured and intentional.
Structured and intentional. I don't want to say less carbs, but structured and intentional.
If less carbs gets you to where you need to be at that beginning point, then do it. But if it's not, then don't.
So well said, because in the 90s, fat was the devil and carbs were the coolest thing ever, and they got everybody eating sugar by the boatload.
And then we all have diabetes now.
And then everybody's got diabetes, so now carbs are the devil and fat is cool. But people got to realize there are no good and bad. There is no heaven and hell.
It's easy. Well, it's easier for our brains to work that way. If I know I know this is bad, I know this is good. Defining
just
it
like
that
a binary.
Yeah, ones and zeros are easier for me than 0 to 100, So.
Life's complex. There's nuance to this shit.
So are carbs. Whoa.
Complex carbs. Things might be connected.
You brought something up too, like the best time to get away with some sugar would be post-workout, right? Because your body is going to make the most use out of it.
It's going to soak it up into the muscle and liver glycogen before it spills over into potential
I feel like where people have the most trouble not in the post-workout thing, because usually when I'm done, and I know a lot of people that get done eating, they feel good enough to go eat a good meal, but it's when it's the other meals throughout the day, managing what kind of carbs do I have throughout the day for my goals, right? So when would you think would be the best time to have, or when would be the worst time, I guess, if there's a worst time, right? We're doing ones and zeros now. What's the worst time to have sugar during the day if your goal is?
First thing in the morning, if you're not working out right after, would be a bad idea, because you're already in a fasted state. So once again, it's not going to kill you, but that would be the worst time to, if you didn't have protein and fat with it. Yeah. Like people that just wake up and eat cereal or oatmeal with nothing in it.
And OJ.
Cereal, orange juice, and oatmeal. You're like, oh, this is healthy. I'm like, you just had fucking 200 grams of sugar, my guy, with no fucking healthy fats and no protein. So that would be a bad idea. And then once again, same thing potentially before bed. Not that eating before bed or carbs before bed are going to make you fat, but if it's far enough away from a workout, your insulin resistance is going to be up a little bit versus your insulin sensitivity, like we said, after a nice workout.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe complex carbs morning and night, and simple carbs peri-workout, before and after workout.
Peri-workout. Ooh, I like that.
I'm fancy with the prefixes.
Yeah. When do you usually work out?
So now I'm on this whole, I've gone years and years with other things, but now I'm like an 11 a.m. after all my morning shit, in the midday when everybody's not, when everybody's working, I'm working out, and then when they're off of work, I'm training them, right? So midday. So I do a nice complex carb, personally,
for breakfast.
For now, that I'm eating meat and I'm eating carbs right now. Sometimes I don't eat meat, sometimes I don't eat carbs. Whatever. I cycle things just like every cycle in life, right? But right now I'm eating balanced, pretty much 33, 33, 33.
Carbs, fats, protein.
Carbs, fats, protein percentage-wise. I get up with my fucking eggs and some complex carbs. Then I do all my morning shit. And before workout, I'll have some simple carbs, such as like a rice porridge situation with maybe some honey on it. So now it's like a burst of sugar before the workout, because currently I'm doing like a higher volume power bodybuilding style training, if you were to put it on paper in a box. Then afterwards, steak and rice and blueberries. So that's just fucking, the white rice is shooting right into the muscles. The steak is going to slow down the digestion a little bit, but get me a really nice complete protein with some healthy fats, but it's a lean cut, so we're not slowing it down too much. And then the blueberries are just great brain fuel and some low carb, high fiber, low sugar fruit for just micronutrients and taste and deliciosity.
Antioxidants.
Yeah. And the brain berries. And then later on in the day, I'll go into like an apple and a protein bar. So now we're talking super slow digestion because we're talking high protein, high fiber, high water, high fiber. And then the fructose is a disaccharide in the apple or what have you in the fruit. So that's going to be slower digestion to keep me full and focused longer, like during training hours. And then at night, I'll do like a yogurt and pineapple or a cottage cheese and pineapple after like a fish and vegetable, chicken and vegetable, steak and vegetable type of dinner. So that basically follows what you're saying. Complex carbs morning and night.
Yeah.
Sugars pre and post workout.
Around when the workout.
And then middle of nowhere is high fiber, high protein with some carb. So I'm pretty much doing what you said that I said you didn't have to do, but it's optimal because I like to be optimal with my shit.
Optimize yourself.
Yeah.
Nice.
That should have been the name of this podcast. Optimize yourself.
Ooh.
Or optimize your life.
Yo life.
But we try to get make you think a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get there. So yeah, carbs are fun, man. I like carbs.
Are you tracking macros right now?
Yes.
What kind of percentage are you fucking with? Or that doesn't matter so much. You're going loosey-goosey macros with some tight total calories?
I just kind of go, well, I'll tell you what they exactly are right now.
Yeah.
My macros are 170 on protein.
Perfect.
Which is a little bit more than what I weigh. It's a little more than 1 point.
Right, so we're covering the bases and staying full.
Yeah. Carbs are at 381, and the fats are at about 48, which are pretty
Okay,
pretty
so
low
for
me.
my body type, that would be low fat, high carb.
Yeah.
And for you, it sounds kind of perfect. The fat's a little lower, so the carbs can be a little higher because your metabolism is a little higher. Well, I don't want to say hard gainer. I'm a fucking chubby endomorph and you're a hard gainer or whatever the fuck, but right.
And that puts me around 2,700 calories. So that's
totally makes
sense. For me, that's like a maintenance. I'm not really trying to bulk up or get
totally
cut.
Makes sense.
I'm just, just working out.
I'm a little bit higher fat, a little bit higher protein, a little bit lower carb, around 3,200 for like a maintenance or a slow, weird bulk. Well, I would call it like a slow, weird bulk because it's eating maintenance plus cheat meals. So the week is a surplus.
Gotcha.
Which, obviously if you're trying to lose weight, you wouldn't do something like that.
Speaking of that,
about what kind of carbs or how much for your goals. So like I said, if you're just starting out and you don't know nothing about nothing, we would probably just figure out what you're eating now and build from there, right? Awareness first. Secondly, we would start with the protein, like you said, approximately 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein per day. Probably half that in fat and the same number in carbs as a starting point to see how you look and feel after a couple weeks. If the goal is fat loss, carbs can be manipulated all the way down to close to 0 to run off of higher fats, medium protein in a state of ketosis, which is a separate dieting style.
Ketogenic diet you've probably heard of, which we'll get into.
There's
later.
other benefits where it's not the greatest thing, it's not the worst thing, it's another tool that we can use for health, maybe performance, and maybe fat loss.
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't bulk on it, but it would not be anywhere near optimal. But there's plenty of health reasons, and there's plenty of jump-starting a fat loss diet to just improve insulin sensitivity and 100%. Stuff, which we'll probably touch more on the fat episode. So then from there, we would go into that fucking seesaw metaphor I was talking about. If you're trying to lose weight, is our first goal that we're talking about. Yeah, protein as the fulcrum in the middle where it stays kind of high or kind of set. Then you figure out either your body type, taste buds, somio type, dosa type, whatever school you're going to, as far as the fats being higher and the carbs being lower, or the carbs being higher and the fats being lower. So we already touched on higher fats, lower carbs, like a ketogenic diet, or like a bodybuilding style diet where fat is lower so you can get away with higher carbs. Everything works at different times for different people, and total calories is the number one thing that matters. So for fat loss, it's nice if you have your protein set. That may be the first place you want to trim total calories from.
Yeah.
Would maybe be carbs. So
Definitely.
lowering carbs first.
Yeah, and chances are, so I'm not making an assumption here on any of your viewers, but chances are if your goal is to lose fat, there's probably some carbs in your diet that you can get rid of.
Some sneaky ones. Great point. Liquid carbs, junky
Yeah.
carbs, and some stuff. That's a great point because when you're trying it, so then you find out where you're at, right? And what we said with the protein, carbs, and fats gets you to is somewhere around a maintenance to figure out where you're at without super calculating it,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to subtract calories from protein.
No. Yeah.
So first place you would
First
go
line
is
is carbs.
subtract calories from carbs.
Because you mean just looking at my breakdown of macros, this is tailored to be, I'm very specifically tailored. But this is, a lot of people's carbs are this high and their body type can't take it.
Yes, great
Or
point.
they're not working out as the way I am.
Great point. To sustain.
381 might be really, really, really high. It probably is really high for a lot of people.
Yep.
Again, it's not that I'm getting away with it a little bit because of my genetics.
Yep.
But I'm also exercising
Yep.
every single day.
Earning your carbs.
Yeah. And again, those carbs are, polenta, I got oatmeal, I got tons of berries, tons of veggies.
Lots of fiber, complex
High fiber.
carbs, high nutrient density. We're not eating, he's not sucking down Coca-Colas over here. Brushing his teeth with fucking Skittles anymore. So that same person that just lost all this fat by slowly pulling away total calories from carbs and then maybe eventually fats and whatever, we'll go into that on maybe a fat loss episode or something. Now, if they want to gain muscle, you would maybe lower the fats or keep the fats at a moderate range, because remember, we don't want to lower protein, but you don't want to overeat fat or protein if you're trying to gain weight because it'll fill you up too quickly. And like John said earlier, carbohydrates are going to spike insulin, which is an anabolic hormone that's going to spike growth, right? Or stimulate growth, right? So if we want to grow muscle, we would lower the fat, keep the protein, and increase the carbs.
Yeah, because also if you're trying to put on muscle, you're going to be doing, again, like
Higher
higher
volume.
volume, more intense workouts that deplete glycogen. So not only are you restoring the glycogen you've had, but you're also increasing the capacity to grow new muscle tissue.
Love it.
So, and it's a lot easier to, like, adding more protein in as a macronutrient is not a bad thing necessarily, like you said before, but it's much more difficult than manipulating a carb up and down,
I only add protein if you're under eating protein. And most regular people are, and that's a magic bullet for the first couple of months.
Yep.
And then after that, the protein kind of stays, like you said, you're between like 150 and 170.
Yep.
I'm between 2 and I don't even want to say 250, like 2 and 225.
Yeah.
So I've done over 300 grams. It's diminishing returns at that point.
We've talked about I've done when I was like 14, chugging 200 calories of just protein shakes. At
Bananas.
112 pounds.
Yep.
It makes zero sense.
Here we are.
Bodybuilding magazine said 2 to 2.5 grams. Of
Trying to sell that
protein
powder, baby.
Yeah, it worked.
I like it. So then,
That's body compositional goal.
Yep.
Muscle building, fat loss.
if we're going performance,
What kind of performance?
be it sports performance or fucking in the boardroom, in the bedroom, in the any type of mental performance or a physical sports performance, we probably want carbs moderate to high, let's say. So at least in the maintenance level, same thing, getting plenty of healthy fats, your optimal amount of protein, but then pumping up the carbs to a reasonable level.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it depends what kind of sport obviously you're doing, right? Like intense sport like football.
Soccer, basketball, football is going to need a lot more than
wrestling,
powerlifting.
Yeah, exactly. Or golf.
Right, or golf. Right. Golf would be an amazing sport to run off of ketosis because you're out there for fucking
Mental
long
performance,
hours and you're mentally
focusing,
sharp. I never even heard of a golfer doing that, but that could be an avenue to go where you wouldn't do that if you were playing in the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. Because you need that, again, that
Sprinting
glycolytic system.
And,
I guess we can touch on that briefly because we didn't really
expand on that.
But 3 main energy systems within the body. So how you're moving right now is, and how you're moving for a maximum, max lift deadlift, and how you're moving for a marathon, all tap into different energy sources, right? So our body has multiple ways, not just one way of using energy. So we talked about, you mentioned for like a maximal lift, you're tapping into ATP, creatine phosphate system. So what that is, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is the main, component of cellular energy, right?
Yeah.
So creatine, which one of my clients asked me this today, is like, is creatine like is meant for building mass? And I said, not necessarily. That's a marketing tactic. What creatine does is when I am, cranking out, so say I'm doing like a 3-rep, super heavy weight here. I'm on that 3rd rep and I'm like stuck there. So that means my body's like firing ATP constantly for the first 2 reps is running out. Creatine's that little energy storage that it pulls from. So it uses, again, the sciencey here, but the cleaving of the phosphate group is what releases the energy. So creatine phosphate, adenosine triphosphate, they both have phosphates. So the creatine phosphate gets released, that gives me that little extra push. So I'm building really more strength in that kind of maximal range, and that strength will allow me to lift more weight. If I'm doing the right things, allow me to get bigger. So
Over time. Love that.
So
I love it when you talk nerdy to me.
oh yeah.
That was beautiful because I love that because it's in the short term increases strength, but a stronger muscle has the potential to be a bigger muscle with the right training and diet. I love that.
And then you have your aerobic system, which is oxidative. So that means that's when you get your long distance runners, your long distance endurance based athletes. They're really just tapping into the oxidative system, so oxygen essentially more than. Well, they're definitely using. You're never in like one specific state. You're using a bunch all the time. We're using probably a bunch right now. But then you have your glycolytic system, which is again playing basketball, moderate to short-term explosiveness, right? So maybe like running like a route on a football field, sprinting to the net, or kicking the soccer ball, stuff like that. Running just 3 miles, like a 5K or whatever. That's all going to be hitting glycogen systems. And so carb. This way, people see people carbo loading. You're watching the episode of The Office.
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Where Michael eats a whole fettuccine Alfredo right before it.
Got a carbo load, and he's around the corner like he's cheating. And then he like shits himself
then
and
he
whatever.
Just vomits. And then
Hilarious. Don't forget to tape up your nipples.
Exactly. Chafing's a real thing. But yeah, so are we making our way towards the dispelling the carbs myths? Oh, we got to touch on health first, I guess.
Right. So then health depends on everything. It depends. Health is the biggest one. It depends because if you are
what is getting to optimal health for you?
Yeah, for you precisely. So if you're underweight, you're pumping up the carbs.
Yeah.
Right. If you're overweight, you might be cutting down the carbs.
If you have diabetes.
If it's a diabetes thing, you're cutting down the carbs.
Yeah.
If it's like a ADD thing where you don't care if the scale goes up or down, you might want some healthier fats and less carbs. So your energy's not bouncing off the walls. Shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's a real it depends thing.
And at the health point too, it would be, I guess, more also just like, well, what types of carbs are you eating versus
Great point.
Right? And so that's Eggo waffle versus oatmeal. Pixie sticks versus blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. That because now again the difference too there again we said the 100 grams is the 100 grams. But the micronutrient content is going to be so much more beneficial for your health. The fiber content, antioxidant content, all those things make a difference in your body, even if you can't feel them actively. We're all used to like, I ate my blueberries. Why am I not feeling like a superhero? Like
I feel like a superhero.
I ate superfoods. I'm not feeling super. Like, well, stuff's happening in your body, and you will feel it.
It's up to you to feel like a superhero. I feel like a superhero. But yeah, I love that because say the same analogy of the 100 grams of white granular sugar versus the 100 grams of sweet potato.
Yeah.
The sweet potato is not only going to have fiber, but micronutrients, vitamins and minerals and stuff. So the number one reason why people overeat, other than fucking mental and emotional stuff, is lack of micronutrients and fiber, right? So that sugar is still, 100 grams of sugar is 400 calories. 100 grams of sweet potato, if you weigh them on a scale, is 400 calories. But you're going to fucking be hungrier after the sugar and then overeat because your body's craving those micronutrients.
If you've ever eaten like an extra large fries from McDonald's, or you've eaten like sweet potatoes prepared with like walnuts on top with some little bit of honey, and like one's way more filling and harder to eat because it's just more density versus I can plow through a Big Mac in like no time fast and still be hungry.
Of course.
Makes no sense. Yes, it does though.
No micronutrients, because that's what the body pretty much, I didn't want to say it like this, but maybe you could help me out of the weeds here. The body doesn't even crave specific foods, it craves micronutrients. So it's like, that's why you might be in the mood for French fries because you're low in sodium or something like that. Or you might be in the mood for sugar because you're low in carbs.
If you get a craving for salty foods,
right.
Sodium, potassium, all those kind of cravings.
Different micronutrients and stuff, which is kind of like, pregnant ladies talking about like weird cravings and stuff. That's what it is. You and the baby lacking some micronutrient.
Yeah.
I want fucking pickles and ice cream, but like the body just wants fucking
sodium, and I need some healthy fat. I need some fats. I need some. I'm making a baby here. What do you want from me?
Yeah, get away from me.
Yeah. But yeah, and then.
So that's the goals.
Some carb myths.
So many myths.
So the carb loading, that's not really a myth, but I think the people have the idea Michael had, if I eat fettuccine alfredo before I run.
The more the better. Yeah, that reminds me of like the night before football games, we would eat a bunch of fucking like pasta.
Same. We would have pasta.
But this make no sense.
Pasta parties before.
Yeah, pasta parties. But it would make no fucking sense. So, if you are depleting your glycogen, you do get super recomposition if you do it correctly. Say you're cutting weight to make a weight class, or cutting all your body fat down for a bodybuilding competition, and then you add carbs in. They're going to soak right into the muscle, right, and you're going to fill up.
Yeah.
So that is a real thing. But like carbo loading before is not as good as eating a balanced diet, because you still want amino acids floating around and some healthy fats to shuttle those nutrients into the cells. So yeah, I think the whole carbo loading is a myth.
So I shouldn't have fish.
You don't want to overeat or undereat carbs. Carbs are not the devil. Carbs are not magical, just like everything else.
Eat optimally for what your goal is.
Eat optimally for your body and your goals at the time. Fruit is fructose, so it's going to make you automatically fat.
Bad for you.
Because fruit is bad. That's the fucking key. It was that banana that I ate that made me 300 pounds.
Exactly, yeah.
Because of the fructose. That's all bullshit. Fructose is going to fill up liver glycogen before muscle glycogen, so it may not be the greatest post-workout meal, but that doesn't mean it's bad for you.
It depends on the type of fruit as well.
Completely depends on the type
Because just like we said, how table sugar is different from sweet potato, a berry is different from a banana, from an apple, in terms of fiber content, water content, mineral content.
So northern fruits, berries and apples are going to have less sugar. Tropical fruits, pineapple, mango is going to be higher in sugar. But calories are calories.
Yeah, at the end of the day. And most standard servings of fruit they have in labels are about 25 grams of sugar. Like a banana's got about 25 grams of sugar in it.
Then your total carb content, you subtract the fiber to get net carbs if you're tracking. Because insoluble fiber you don't digest.
It'll just go right through you.
So it's coming right on through. Cleaning out the pipes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good news.
Any other sugar myths? Well, it's
so many. Like I said, they used to be the coolest thing, and fat was the devil, and now carbs are the devil.
Yeah, the sugar industry just kind of.
But it's another one of those things that used to be overrated, and now it's underrated. Yeah. Eat optimally, the optimal amount of carbs for you and your goals at whatever time.
Yeah, even after all this, you're like, I tried doing this and that. Experiment with yourself with carbs, because.
Play with yourself.
Yeah, we promote that here.
Play with friends.
Top 5 favorite carbs. Since
oh shit! I love this because you didn't give me time to think.
I did not.
So here's the question. Do I have to? Can I say fruit or specific fruits? Because after that, I'm going to go off.
Specifics.
Damn. Okay. Sweet potatoes, blueberries, pineapples, white rice, super easy to digest and goes well with everything. Oh,
one more.
Man.
Want me to come back to you?
Yeah, we'll do the same exact thing that you did. So I got pineapple, blueberry, sweet potato, white rice. Yeah, come back to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go honey.
Honey. Ooh.
Micronutrients, taste,
bees are dope.
Versatile. Bees save lives. Bees are the only thing that the far left and the far right can agree on. If the bees and the trees die, we're fucked.
We're screwed. That's
I mean, they're not really doing anything about it, but they can't fucking argue. Right. They're like, all right.
These are important.
I see you there. So that's going to be me.
Gotcha.
And now I'm leaving out so many fruits. And I like other types of potatoes. And now I'm rambling. But blueberry, pineapple. I got some
weird ones on
I know. That's why I wanted to go first, because I'm Mr. Basic over here. Blueberry, pineapple, white rice, honey, and sweet potato.
So I like all those. I don't think there's any food that I don't like. No.
Oh, that's a great.
There probably are. I've had chicken feet before. Like my one friend from China, they had New Year's and they actually had chicken feet. Wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I'm sure prepared correctly it'd be it. A black licorice is a little nasty.
I don't like black. You're right. Actually, I don't.
But other than that,
I will eat it though, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Can't believe you sprung that on me. That was awesome. Yeah, but once again, prepared properly in a soup or some shit.
Yeah, you're right. But I got berries on my list, specifically raspberries.
Raspberry, nice.
I love that tart. The tart
Fuck
flavor.
yeah! If you get them soft, they suck. But you get the tart ones,
Ooh.
it's a win.
That's a win.
It's a good day right there.
Yuca. You ever had yuca?
Fuck
Cassava?
yeah!
That shit's
Oh my god, dude, some yuca fries.
Oh, so good, man. So good. So good.
Damn it, that's good.
It's a really good micronutrient content of
Fuck
that too.
yeah.
Like, it's very comparable. If you've never had it, check it out. My mom's from South America, but it's famously Cuban, at least in America represented Cuban, but it's also all over South America. Also called cassava. That's really good. That's those two. Japanese yams. Ever had Japanese
Purple
yams?
joints?
The purple jam.
Oh,
So
fuck.
good. That's my favorite type of sweet potato.
Yeah, I didn't get specific.
crush
I
those.
went with the orange yams in my brain, but the purple ones are next level.
Polenta or cornmeal.
Sick.
I love those. You can just mix that up. I'm going vegan right now, but typically I would just do a little bit of milk in there, a little bit of cheese.
Yep.
And then you can throw in I'll do some sauteed mushrooms and some Spanish in there. That's a nice meal right there. And my fifth favorite carb, it's always the fifth one.
We're gonna have 10 with no green fibrous carbs. Because they're like slightly, once again, another thing that's like overrated, underrated.
Yeah, well,
Because I like broccoli, Brussels sprouts,
love
asparagus,
that's
spinach, kale, but I wouldn't have them in the top
I don't know
5.
that top 5, no.
Because yes, vegetables are carbs. Fruits are carbs.
Shoot.
Different sugar content.
Well, I'll probably say
fiber
this one
content.
because this is just a cheat meal one. I love popcorn.
That's phenomenal. So you have 2 different types of corn on there. I fucking love popcorn too.
Yeah.
I love all corn except for processed high fructose corn syrup.
Corn syrup, yeah.
Cornmeal, cornbread, corn muffins, corn on the cob,
You going
popcorn. I'm trying. I'm just go as far. Corn gumbo,
Corn
corn
muffins.
grits, corn muffins, corn pancakes,
Corn
corn
cookies.
waffles.
Corn waffles, corn tortillas.
That's about it.
That's about
I like it. Oh yeah, dude, corn tortillas, corn chips.
Corn chips.
Soft, hard, super hard tostadas. Soft wrap it up burritos. Chippies, fucking yeah, cornmeal.
Corn nuts, corn to the core.
Dude, corn nuts. Brought to you by. I love it. Yucca, raspberries,
Japanese sweet potatoes.
them Japanese purple joints. Dude, if you've never had the purple sweet potatoes, you're going to the wrong supermarket. Go down to the Asian market and upgrade your life.
So good. They're amazing.
Popcorn and cornmeal?
Popcorn
and polenta?
Yeah.
Sick.
Would you put mushrooms under carbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah.
Because
Nothing else
there's
in there,
very,
really.
very low protein and no fat.
Yeah. That's
So,
the only thing in there,
but
yeah.
I don't know if we have to do a separate episode of like the foods that have, coconut is a high. I'm thinking of that as a high fat source, even though it's a fruit.
Fruit, yeah.
Like avocado is a fruit and it has fiber and some carbs, but that's fat source. You know what I'm saying? The overlappies.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Nuts have tons
You know
of
what I mean?
overlap,
Like
yeah.
they're going to be in my, and we'll go specific,
fats,
but they're
and
going to be in my
proteins.
favorite, top 5 favorite fats or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, we won't do the overlappies today, but I love it.
But yeah, those are good. Carbs aren't bad, but they can be bad for your goals if you use them incorrectly. Everything's just a tool, man.
Tools.
Use tools. Don't use a hammer to saw a piece of wood. That's not going to work out well. You need a
Doesn't
saw.
make any sense. You have to have awareness of what your goals are and what you need. I love it, buddy.
Awareness.
Fats on Monday.
Carbs.
They're not evil either.
They're not.
Eat your carbs.
Enjoy
Eat right.
Thanksgiving. Start with your proteins first, though. Eat your proteins first.
And then eat everything.
And everything else.
And don't feel bad. Leave your old bullshit behind.
Be thankful. Grateful.
Grateful every day. So listen, Thanksgiving, you can fucking have it be where you eat too much, drink too much, pass out on the couch watching the fucking stinking Cowboys and celebrate the genocide of the natives, or it can be a remembrance of things that you're thankful for, and that every single day you don't need a fucking holiday yelling at the in-laws about fucking Trump versus Biden to be grateful and thankful. So I'm grateful for you, buddy.
Grateful for you too, bro.
See you next time.
The bridge.
Peace.
Out.